Let's talk about Epstein and Ava Cordero, so of course content warning for what follows. One of the first people to have accused Jeffrey Epstein of trafficking was a Latina trans woman named Ava Cordero. In October of 2007, she filed a lawsuit claiming that Epstein had forced himself on her when she was only 16. She was a 16-year-old girl and a grown adult, a grown man, forced her to do things that she didn't want to. And how did the media respond to this? They mocked her mercilessly for this and claimed Epstein was the real victim in all of this. Articles like the New York Post would say stuff like this, and it is just atrocious. After constant slut-shaming and trying to paint her as some sort of fetish and kink, just showing how misogynistic and transphobic this whole thing was. And after 2009, Ava Cordero's story was mostly ignored and dismissed by people. One of the first instances, because she was a Latina trans woman, no one gave a about her. How many victims could have been saved if people took her seriously back then? But no, because she was trans, because she was a woman, no one gave a shit. And Epstein and his friends like Trump harmed so many other women and girls after that because no one bothered to listen to an actual victim of his. And it's such an indictment of society that they mocked her, the victim, over and over and made the guy who actually harmed people, harmed her, as the real victim in this whole story. And this is a consistent story that we see where victims, women, and especially trans women, are slut-shamed, are called fetishes and kinks. Our stories aren't listened to. They're dismissed immediately as if we're not human beings. The fact that it took dozens and dozens of other victims of trafficking to come forward for him to actually face consequences is disgusting. And we need to do better. We need to believe women when they come forward. We need to believe the victims of assault, of trafficking, when they come forward. But instead, we elect these people. People like Trump, who has at least 27 women who came forward against him, and who has been very buddy-buddy with Epstein himself, and is doing everything he can to keep the Epstein files secret. Things need to change. We need to believe women when they come forward, and we need to especially believe trans women when they come forward with allegations like these. And I wish I could tell you the media is better today than it was back then, but it's not. The New York Post still engages in transphobic stuff like this. Even GLAAD called it dubious for their reporting back then. And things aren't much better when media still does these things, even to this day, misgendering and ignoring trans victims left and right for bogus reasons. We need to do better. Because if we had back then, maybe, just maybe, we would have had fewer victims of Epstein having to come forward later on in life.